Hey there, welcome back. If you're new to this channel, hello, welcome to the Horticulture. This is Sagar and me Sharanya, and we are so glad to bring you guys along on our journey here. As some of you might already know, it was just around 5 years back when we started learning how to grow our own food. Until then, all the gardening experience that at least I personally had was just trying to keep my houseplants alive. In the last 5 years, we first started in our balcony space and then we rented a plot in a community garden, and now we have our backyard vegetable garden. I think with each gardening season, we have slowly and gradually picked up a lot of confidence, interest, and a few tips and tricks to maintain a garden. And honestly, the time we spent in the garden is certainly one of our most cherished activities in our day-to-day life. It's healing since you're out with nature, and the best part is all the lovely produce and reward you get. We understand that some of you might be new to gardening, but we hope to encourage you to start growing your own food, even if it means starting in a few pots in your balcony or patio. And especially if you have young kids, I think it's a great activity to engage them and also help them develop a sense of appreciation for our farmers and all the love and work that goes behind the scenes to bring food to our tables. Okay, without further ado, moving to the August, or I should say August comes September garden update. First, let's take a look at what's growing in the garden, and please do stay tuned until the end as we're going to share with you what we did with the huge loads of summer harvest we had. So August end or first week of September here is when we start transitioning officially from a summer to a fall season, and the temperatures are slowly starting to drop. So all the summer star performers like cucumbers, beans, squashes are now done and ready to be removed. The tomatoes, gourds, peppers, eggplants and okra are still doing decently well, but will fade out once we reach, say, the first week of October. And that brings us to making sure we have enough produce to eat in the fall months. So if you recall from our April garden tour, we spoke about the importance of having a spring, summer and a fall garden plan for each raised bed or a pot in order to maximize the yield. So as we remove the beans or other summer crops, in those places, we first want to add some good compost in order to replenish the nutrients. We are super glad and thankful that this time we have some nice homemade compost from our compost pile ready to be used to top up our beds. And then we planted the fall crops either from seeds or starts indoors. So we have greens, brassicas and root vegetables mostly. Moving on to the most exciting part of what we want to share with you guys this month is all our food prep and storage. If you've grown tomatoes at home, you know that in the summer you have so much of them than you can ever consume. In the past, we usually try to share them with our friends and colleagues, and since this year we have not had a chance to meet a lot of people in general, we thought about it and we were like, why not can these and save them for the winter so we don't need to buy tomatoes from the stores. The idea behind water bath canning is you process the tomatoes however you like. So we made some plain diced tomatoes which we can use in sambar, rasam, etc. and some chunky curry base with onion, garlic, ginger. So we can directly use them to say make rajma, chana masala or other stews, and also some pizza sauces. And once you process them the way you like, You fill them in sterilized canning jars like these and place them in boiling water for an hour or so. With the heat, the rubber in these lids seal the container, and once they're vacuum sealed like this, the cans can be kept in a shelf at room temperature for almost a year or two. In winter and spring, when it's still cold to have fresh homegrown tomatoes, we can instead use these preserved tomatoes directly as we make our curries or say pizza. Late August is again the time when green beans and corn are in great abundance. We went to a farm stand nearby and we found fresh green beans at such a great price. So we got 1 bushel of it. We washed, dried and chopped them up to store in the freezer so that we can use them to make stir fries later in the winter. We have around 4 1-gallon bags of green beans cut in different sizes. We also did the same thing with our corn. So from the farmer's market, we got 1 dozen of fresh corn, removed the kernels and froze them up. So later in winter, if we want to make soups, we can just quickly add these in. We also visited an apple orchard and there were these lovely fresh apples, and even though we didn't have a plan to buy so many, we couldn't resist and got 1 bushel or around 40 pounds of apples. So roughly 70 to 80 of these apples for just $16, which is so much cheaper than getting it from a supermarket. I know this is quite a lot, but we knew we wanted to try making applesauce and apple cider vinegar this year. For applesauce, we need the flesh of the apple, and for the vinegar, we use the peels and the core. That way the entire apple is getting utilized for something or the other. Applesauce is pretty straightforward. You just cook the apples until they soften and become a nice chunky paste, and you can add some spices like cardamom or cinnamon to it. Once it's ready, we just can them similar to tomatoes in a water bath. For the vinegar, it's a more longer process. The first step is to convert the apples and the sugar in it to alcohol, and then fermenting the alcohol further to make vinegar. For the first step, we added some sugar water, so diluting 1 tablespoon of sugar for 1 cup of water and covering the apples, making sure that they are fully submerged in the sugar water. It's been around a week now, and as you can see, slowly the apples soften and they're getting converted to alcohol. This whole process, I think it should take around 2 full weeks. And once this is done, we would remove the apple peels and the cores from it and just let that alcohol convert to vinegar. And I believe that process would take around another 2 or 3 months. This is from our end for August and September, and do join us in our October garden tour as we process more of our produce. We have a plan to make some gungura pickles, pickled cabbage or make sauerkraut, and also to take a look at our fall garden. Thank you so much for joining us this month, and if you like the video, please do give it a thumbs up. And feel free to leave some comments below on what you'd like to see in this channel. Alright, we'll see you in October then. Take care.